The JTable class is a part of Java Swing package and is generally used to display or edit two-dimensional data that is having both rows and columns in a table format. And it's basically similar to a spreadsheet, and it arranges the table in a tabular form. To understand the JTable class, let's see this graphical user interface. Here in this interface, one table has been created with having one column header as element, as you see. So when I enter some data into the table like this, 45, say, suppose say 9. Now if we want to find the maximum, it gives us the maximum value of all the elements stored in the table. So how are we supposed to achieve this? Let's see our program. The class name is Java table underscore 11, which extends the JFrame because this GUI needs to be laid in a container that is a Java frame, and it will implement the action listener interface because we need to calculate the maximum of all the elements in the table using this find max button. Let's review the fields that we need to create. The max label is for this max level. Then this is your max field. Then array vals table is the table name. How many number of elements that we want inside here, that is given by one variable num elements. Now column headings for the element column heading, and table vals for what value that you want to incorporate into the table, that is given by a two-dimensional string array. From our main function, this frame needs to be created of the class type, and that will invoke the default constructor of the class as well, where we have everything in it. In the default constructor here, grid back constraints need to be initialized to have our layout labeled, and then set the title array maximum. Then max label needs to be created. The next max field is to be set. So why do we need this? So this get integer instance, this is a method which belongs to the number format class, and it's a built-in method in the number format class which returns whatever value we enter to an integer number format. And it's again J formatted text field type. So for the J formatted text field, we need to import the J formatted text field library also. The next, the max field column set table set value needs to be fixed as well. Then max button, let's work on this. New button to be created with the find max label on it, and we need to add the add action listener on it, which will be applied in the form table inside the frame. Then this add action listener, what it will do when it is called, when we click on this button, it should display something here in the max field level. So in order to do that, we need to override the action performed method over here. So before going to the action performed, we need to see how the table need to be laid out here on the frame. Let's look into the table how to create that. So first, the table object that needs a column heading element. So in order to do that, we have the column heading of string and type, and then table vals is a string type two-dimensional array. So this is used to ensure the direct mapping between the array elements index. So each element should have an index and should have a column, cell index and elements index. Now column heading is the first element, so that's why the index is 0 and it gives us element. Now to initialize all the element or the table values, we need this for loop. And through the two-dimensional array, incrementing the counter, we go on adding all the initial, it has zeros, right? To initialize those values, we have this statement. Now to create the table with specified value in it, this is the statement for it. With the table vals that have the two-dimensional string array and the column heading which has a string array. one dimensional string array. Now grid bag layout for the layout of all the elements inside the frame, that is the table, the button, the label and the text field. Then next, let me, yeah. So now just we have the action performed, the event that we need to enable. So the action performed what it should do, when we click on the find max, it should display the maximum element that we have in the table. So here the logic that we have to write. So first element in the table should be assigned to one variable strlm. So here it keeps track of the first element with the two-dimensional index of the table values using 00. So now 10 is stored in strlm, and then now here the j table, actually it will use a simple table model, and that model will interpret all the table cell values using the string representation. So how are we supposed to know what is the max element? So whatever element we have, it usually actually by default takes it as string, but that string need to be converted to integer first in order to find out which one is maximum. To do that, we need to add the percent function of the integer class. In order to do that, we need to import the integer class as well. Let me show it to you here. Yeah, so one second. Then sorry about that, we don't need to import that because it's always already by default present. Now next max element, we are just printing it in the output. So each time I have ran the program, it's giving us initially the max element which has been set to. Then through the for loop here, using the basic logic that through which we usually find out which element is the maximum in between a group of elements or group of integers. So just using that, we are finding out which one is the maximum, and that max element is set using the set value method into the max field. So max field is this one where you see 45 right now. So this is how the table design is being created, and this is how also we can create an event. So if you click a button like this, so it will enable the event and find out the maximum in the text field.